This is the 2015-2016 Burton Barracuda, another fish-themed board from the Big B. It's quite a free ride model, this one. It's got a long old nose on it, certainly much longer than the tail, so you're slightly set back with your stance if you follow the standard markings. It's got a bit of a taper on it too, so it's slightly narrower at the tail than it is at the nose. And it's got Burton's Flying V, which is a combination rocker and traditional camber, only this one is set back slightly towards the tail again. What does all that mean? Well, it means that this board is much happier going forwards and it'll sink really easily in deep snow. As you can probably tell from my get-up and the background here, we've had quite a lot of snow here in La Clusaz. I took it up to the top of the north-facing La Balme and there was a lot of chopped up powder, which this thing actually excelled at. Because of that set back vibe and the long nose, it just irons out any bumps. You can point it down the hill, it'll just mellow out those cruddy sections, the tracks, and if you see a little pocket of fresh snow, you can slam the tail in, get a nice face shot. It really is easy to ride deep snow on this board. The Barracuda's been in the Burton range for a few years now. They've added some carbon to the core this year, which increases the stiffness, means it's quite responsive at turning. It carves really nicely. The Burton rep described it to me as a bit like a longboard versus the shorter skateboards, and I think that's quite an apt description. This is a good board for cruising, for doing big open turns, or just pointing it and getting a lot of speed. It's not the most playful. It's not something you'd really want to take into the park or jib about off the little hits on the side of the piste or ride switch much of the time. But if your priority is going forwards, racking up the miles on the piste and hitting the deep snow when it's available, then it'd be a good choice. I definitely recommend it if you're fairly new to powder and you want something that's going to make it as accessible as possible. You don't necessarily want to go all out and get a quiver board like the Fish, then take a look at the Barracuda.